So there are certain pockets which will give you 100x in probably 10 to 15 year periods.
100x?
Yes, 100x in 10 to 15.
Which are these pockets, sir?
Hyderabad real estate ASBL సంస్థ CEO Ajitesh Korupula.
Ajitesh గారు మాట్లాడదాం.
This is Ajitesh and I'm the CEO of ASBL.
We do 12 million square feet of leasing last year, 2024 calendar year. Bangalore did around 15 million.
Hyderabad has grown significantly in the past few years. Big companies like Amazon, Wipro, Accenture, they already have set up their offices there.
Yes.
So this is the right time to buy.
What exactly is happening in Hyderabad, which makes it a very, very special place to invest?
Today, Hyderabad is not just a city, it's a vision that came alive.
So first and foremost, I would say everything got to do with it. 64% of all the CCTVs in entire India are simply in Hyderabad.
Hyderabad is perhaps one of the cities with the maximum surveillance anywhere in the world.
The estimate is that 60% of the CCTVs in India are in this state.
64% of entire India. So doesn't Hyderabad have a slum problem?
Bombay, I think it's almost 20% of the supply in core area is coming from slum redevelopment.
But how do we solve the slum problem in Bombay?
Program which the government has here is a viable solution world over. Now the challenge here is,
What is the best way to bargain with a builder?
as a customer, I would say,
I could be paying for 1000 square feet ka ghar,
which is not even approved, which is in the thin air.
and then after the entire building is built, I could be getting only 500 square feet.
That is one thing. Second is the project itself would never even start.
Never even start.
Never even start. Why? This is one very, very important thing which...
Before we move on, I want to quickly thank our partners to today's episode, which is Odoo. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, you know that the real struggle isn't in building a business. It's in managing everything that comes with your growth. Juggling different tools for your leads, websites, quotes, and sales often feels like a full-time job on its own. And one lead missed can directly affect your revenue. And that causes a lot of stress. But that is where Odoo CRM can help you out. Odoo is an all-in-one business management platform which is trusted by over 12 million users. It brings your entire commercial workflow, website, CRM, sales, and dashboards into one connected system. With Odoo CRM, you can keep track of all your leads. It is so smooth that a customer can land on your Odoo website, fill out a contact form, and instantly become a lead in your CRM. From there, you get a clean, intuitive Kanban view that tracks progress of your leads through each stage of the pipeline. So you will always know what stage every deal is at. With Odoo CRM, because of the built-in chatter, all communications like emails, calls, tasks, and meetings are centralized in just one place. You can even use ChatGPT to generate emails and faster responses and save them as templates for general use. It also helps you in creating quotes with just a few clicks, and once accepted, the customer can even pay directly through their own portal. And with smart dashboards, you can track performance and forecast revenue with precision. So everything stays centralized, organized, and visible. And because of this, you will have no stress about your leads at all. And you know what's the best part? Odoo lets you manage your entire CRM for free with lifetime access to your first app, including unlimited hosting and support. So if you want to stay stress-free about your leads, click the link in the description and try Odoo CRM today. Hi sir, welcome to the Indian Business Podcast. Sir, I'm very excited to have you over here because we just made a case study on Dubai and we got a macro picture of real estate. So I thought, let's level this research up and go micro to understand what's happening in India. Because my best friend's father, he's absolutely passionate about real estate. Sitting in Delhi, he keeps researching and reading about land rates in Pune, about land rates in Dubai, in Bahrain, and whatnot. And after talking to him, I realized that real estate is that one gold mine that I have ignored for the longest time. Because I'm a equity guy. I'm like, invest in index funds, let it grow 12% year on year, and we're very happy. But the day I met him, he told me that you are making the biggest mistake of your life by not investing in real estate. So that is how my journey of studying about real estate started. And the first thing that I studied was Dubai because it was very exciting. So we made a video on it. Today in this conversation, I want to understand the real estate market of India. And because you specialize in Hyderabad, I want to understand the real estate market of Hyderabad. And through this podcast, I want to present a complete playbook on 3 things. Number 1, how to study real estate. Number 2, if you are buying a land or a property in any city of India, what should be your approach? And number 3, and here I would want you to spill your beans.
Mhm.
I want to understand which are the best markets to invest in. Is it Gurgaon? Is it Hyderabad? Is it Mumbai? And if it is Hyderabad, you can tell us.
Absolutely.
First of all, let's try to understand. In fact, I was doing this podcast with the agriculture guys, and they told me that agriculture is a great investment.
Mm-hmm. Agri lands.
Agri lands.
Okay, huh.
So the first question that I had for you is, tell me, is real estate really a gold mine or a landmine?
Firstly, Ganesh, thank you so much for it's a pleasure to be here and to get connected to your audience through you. So that's a well put statement. Is real estate a gold mine or landmine? Well, it can be both, right? Let me dissect on that. See, first and foremost, it's very, very important that when you look at the basic parameters and then you invest, there's a good tendency it's going to be a gold mine. Now, what are these basic parameters? Let's say you're buying a piece of land, right? First and foremost, you need to look at from a broad perspective, okay, what is the GDP of that particular city?
GDP of the city.
Yes, not the state,
Okay.
right? Why I tell this? Because generally cities grow at almost 1.5 to 2 times of that of the state GDP. Cities are the faster growing engines, right? So then you can establish the growth rate. Then you need to look at what is the agglomeration. Matlab, what type of employment, what type of industries are coming here?
Agglomeration. Is that
Agglomeration,
correct? Can you
yes.
spell it for me, sir?
AGGLOMERATION. Like what sort of industries are consolidating in this area? As simple as that.
Okay.
Right? Let's say now in this particular neighborhood, some gaming industry, many companies are coming in. Then it becomes much more easier for a new company in the gaming industry to come into this particular neighborhood compared to any other neighborhood. Why? Because ecosystem pura setup would have been set up, right? So hence, like, matlab, finding talent and like all the subsidiary services for that business is established already. So wherever there is one set of industries moving in, there's a much more chance that next business in that industry is going to move in. Right? Uske hisab se you can determine what sort of employment it's going to create.
Okay. Agglomeration, which is the concentration of a particular industry.
Of a particular
in
industry.
city.
Right? Now, with the concentration, you can get a clear understanding of what type of companies are going to move in the future and what sort of employment they're going to create, what is the salary bracket.
Can you give me some examples, sir?
Like for example, Hyderabad mein, there's an agglomeration going on for all the GCCs, Global Capability Center. Matlab kya hota hai isme? All these big companies like McDonald's, right? McDonald's is setting up their back-end tech office. Like they're going to create technology to manage their entire supply chain over the world. Now, McDonald's has selected Hyderabad to put this office, and they're going to employ 3,000 tech-based workers. So a lot of the jobs which are going to come in the tech sector. Now, if you look at the salary ranges and all, they will range from somewhere, the starting pay hike is somewhere from around 9 lakhs, goes up to 50 lakhs. So you're going to get a spread of that, right? Now, because GCCs or Global Capability Centers ke liye, first choice is Bangalore and Hyderabad, very close. Almost all India ka 90% share is taken away by these two cities. So for the next 10 years, whatever this GCC sort of movement happens to India, companies coming to India, most likely it will be between these two cities. Then you need to look at, okay, now that these offices are coming, right? Which particular micro markets are they focused on? Like which micro market may they want to set up their office? Like for example, Bangalore does some 20 to 22% more leasing than Hyderabad. Hyderabad is second. We do 12 million square feet of leasing last year, 2024 calendar year. Bangalore did around 15 million.
This is for commercial or residential?
Commercial leasing.
Okay.
Right now, Bangalore ka 15-16 million is spread across the city. Right? North mein kuch, east mein kuch, that airport ka direction mein around 3.5 million, then Sarjapur Road, Whitefield and all of that. Whereas in Hyderabad, this 12 million is focused only in 2 zones. That too totally in the southwest zone. High-tech city ka ek region hai and financial district. Now, naturally, if more offices are there only in one area versus offices spread out across the city, where will the residential demand growth come? In those neighborhoods. So, you need to always, from a real estate investment standpoint, you should not compare city to city. Once you go detailed, right, you need to compare neighborhood to neighborhood.
Got it.
right? And then the question is, next level is, how many schools are there?
How many schools?
Yeah, because let's say I think about it's just a life process. If you actually played like SimCity game or Sims wala game when you were like young, so what? It's like basic life needs. Once as let's say I finished my college, I'm in search of job. So like micro market where there's more commercial spaces coming in, there I'll have better job prospect, better salary. So I go there, then I marry and start living. Then I require infrastructure for my kids, which is essentially schools. So that, and good thing is now there are a lot of Google APIs, Google Map ka APIs. You can simply, like, this is what we do, right? You put a sort of a pin code and you can extract how many schools are there in this. I think it costs some $10 or something. We use this, right? So you can take a look at schools that way. Then you can take a look at, how many eateries like F&B. F&B also is one very, very critical aspect when it comes to attracting high wage earners. Like, for example, those who are working in the IT industry, right? These people earn significantly more income than other industries. High income earner tends to spend more, right, on recreation like entertainment, cinemas, hotels, restaurants, and all of that. So again, use the same Google Maps wala API. Just pull out all the restaurants, and you'll get an average, whatever meal per two people costs also.
Oh, meal per two
Two
people.
people.
Cost.
This is a very important indicator of what sort of people are going to stay in that location, right? And very important in understanding wo micro market mein what would be the family's ka average household income. Very, very important. So iske hisab se you can pura determine the future, like, what sort of people are going to agglomerate and all. Then what I would recommend is you go search any RERA website. Like in the case of Bombay, you can go to maharera.in or .com. Using this, all the information there, you can make a supply wala equation. Matlab, okay, in this websites, you will have all the, all the projects, when they were approved, and what is the product mix. Matlab, your project X, some Warsaw wala pin code mein aa raha hai, and these many are the number of 2 BHKs, these many 3 BHKs, and this is the year they are going to be handed over. Pura supply details will be there. Then add all of this, you will have a clear-cut understanding of the supply. Then I told you income pattern, right, earlier. Income pattern ke hisab se you can establish what type of housing product requirement will be there, like, and age group also, demography. Like, for example, if more people in their 30s are moving there, right, then there's going to be a good requirement for a 2.5 to 3 bedroom wala module. Why? Because, okay, now when somebody is 30, they just got married, right, in their early 30s, and now they're planning to have a child. Then essentially they need 2 to 3 bedroom depending on their income pattern again, right? If there's somebody who are earning like household income of 40 lakhs, they can afford it. Somebody who has a household income of around 18 lakhs, they'll afford more like a 2.5 or 2 bedroom. So you need to map those, right? So yeah, coming back. So if it's a family in the 30 to 35s, then you go and look for like 2.5 to 3 bedroom ka supply kitna hai. Then next is if people are more in their 40 to 45s, then you look for 3.5 bedrooms. Why? Because if you look at Indian family household structure, once the main owner gets to 45 years, generally the household number increases from 3 around to around 5.3, 5.5. Why? Because as we become 45, our parents become 70, 75. So in that age group, they tend to shift to us because of any medical emergency, and we want to, that aspect. So you need to study this family life pattern very well, and then you can time all your investment. It's a little, I would say, digging which you need to do, but it'll keep you safe. But unfortunately, real estate, most of the times what happened, like, let's say my cousin invested, 10 of us go and invest with him. So it's like, but when the ship sinks, that's no safety. All 10 will sink at the same time, right?
Can you give me a brief walkthrough of a particular investment that you've made through this approach?
Yes. In fact, all our investments in this approach we follow the same approach. Like, if you look at our business model, right, we purely buy lands, and most of the developers, I would say by most, the number is in upwards of 90%. The way the industry structure is, if you're a developer and I'm a landowner, you come and partner with me, wherein I'm supplying land and you're supplying your expertise, because of which I might get anywhere from 30% to 50% of the inventory, depending on the location, and you will get the rest of the inventory. So this is called joint development structure. This is asset light. Matlab, the developer's skin in the game is, let's say, the land costs something like 500 crores. As a developer, I just need to pay somewhere around 25 to 50 crores to get into this structure, right? So in this case, the developers, because the skin in the game is low, naturally the amount of research one has to do is not very high. Because what happens, let's say even if it goes bad, you can just wait it out, right? आप कितना पैसा लगाए? 25 crores, that's all, right? So you're going to wait it out. You're going to wait out, let the roads come, let more schools come, let more offices come, then I will build. This is asset light model, and there's a lot of wisdom in this model also. In fact, majority of the market operates in this model. We are on the opposite, completely capex heavy model. We buy the land and do. So in this case, we go and put that 500 crores upfront, buy the entire land and then do. So because we're in the business of buying land, we can't go wrong with our investment. That is why we pull out all this data. In fact, we get to further more depth as well. Like for example, what sort of cars are being generally moving in the neighborhood? How do you do that? You go to the petrol bunk. Typically, right? You go to the petrol bunk and you just see, you'll get a rough understanding of what sort of cars are the very, very important thing. Looking at that, and then again using Google Maps APIs, we look at all what sort of car showrooms are there in the vicinity. So let's say there is a 10 lakh car showroom, like more cars are in that range. Then you get an understanding of income pattern distribution. Let's say there is a Mercedes or a BMW wala showroom, right? In that case, then you have a different understanding of what sort of customers are agglomerating here. So iske hisab se, you need to plan up your thing. Like for example, in the case of Hyderabad, if I'd say somebody might be working in like high-tech city, that's the hub of all the tech employment, right? And if the household is earning, let's say 20 lakhs, then they have to stay in the northern part of the city. If the household is working there and earning 50 lakhs, then they'll stay in that vicinity. 40 lakhs, then north central. So you map all of this.
Got it. So one question that I had is, and we can actually Google this out. Let's apply this entire methodology to a particular locality. Can we do this, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with the first parameter. Let's start with the GDP of the city.
Got it.
GDP of Hyderabad would be?
Close to around 15%.
Is this 15% growth you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So we are supposed to look at GDP growth of the city.
Yes.
What percentage is bad? What percentage is okay? And what percentage is great?
See, anything below national average is bad because it's a city. National average is what, around 6.5 to 7%. So anything below that is bad for a city, right? Ideally, 1.5 times above the national average for a city is very good. So anything above 10 to, I would say 12% is a good number, right?
10 to 12%?
10 to 12% is a good number. Like probably I would say 8 to 10% is moderate, 6 to 7% is satisfactory. Below 6% is bad.
Next, let's come to agglomeration. For Hyderabad, what would that be?
IT and pharma.
IT and pharma. Then the next step is to look at which neighborhood is the concentration happening
of these facilities happening. Correct.
And you mentioned two neighborhoods.
Yes.
First is high-tech city
for the IT industry and financial district for the IT industry.
Got it. Then we have to look at the number of schools.
Yes.
What number of schools?
1 second. Before you go there, look at the number of offices in terms of square footage. Kitna space lease kar rahe ye log?
How do we frame it in a
you can look at what is the leasing absorption in these areas. Like what amount of commercial leasings are happening in these neighborhoods.
Commercial leasing absorption.
Yes. Yeah.
Space Where will you get this data?
This you'll have to do online research. Whenever any of this MNC, signs up a lease, they generally do a press statement. So you'll be getting it like multiple press statements. And second, you'll have reports from JLL. These IPCs, what we call. IPC is International Property Consultants. JLL is there, and our domestic homegrown ANAROC is there. They also keep publishing the data.
Do they go to the neighborhood level or do they talk city level?
They do talk neighborhood level also. I think some of the cases it's a paid report. Some of the cases at a city level, generally it's always free. In the case of neighborhood, sometimes you have to do paid. Even prop equity is also there. That's also a good.
How much do you have to pay, just out of curiosity?
Around 3,000-4,000 for these. The deeper ones will cost you a little more. Like, I think prop equity, which a lot of builders use for residential supply and all, we take annual subscription, which is around 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees.
Oh, so you can take an annual subscription to get hold of all this data?
Yes, project by project, inventory by inventory, you can get that.
So if a person is investing 1 crore, they can just spend about 1.5 lakh rupees and get hold of all this data?
Yeah.
Great. Sir, can you please tell me the best subscriptions that a person is supposed to buy before buying a house?
See, prop equity is one good thing.
Prop equity.
Yeah. And then this is all the old time. Now, though, you can simply go to TS RERA or Maha RERA website, download all the data, just put in ChatGPT.
Okay. Maha RERA is only for Maharashtra, right?
Maharashtra. TS RERA for Hyderabad. every city has its own, every, state government has their own RERA. You can go to that website and it has a detailed pin code by pin code, database, right, of every project.
Okay. So it will first tell me what is the leasing absorption rate. And for leasing absorption rate, I can go to prop equity, get the subscription, and then have
And
a
do
look
online
at the
research
percentage.
as well, correct?
What percentage again is good, bad, worst?
Leasing mein? See, leasing, instead of percentage, you look at the net absorption.
Net
right?
absorption.
Let's say, like Hyderabad case, let me take 12 million square feet of absorption, net absorption hua hai.
Sir, before we get into that, can you please break it down and help me understand what exactly is this absorption rate?
Got it. So absorption rated, let's say I'm an MNC, right? I want to go and lease, I want to set up an office in your city, and I want to go and lease some space. Let's say I come and I lease like 50,000 square feet. Like that 10 other offices have come and leased the space. Then we say absorption is 50,000 into 10, 5 lakh square feet. Or simply the amount of consumption of space which businesses are picking up. Like, businesses ko kitna space chahiye to run their office and their show.
Got
Right? That's absorption. Now the metric is for every million square feet, that is 10 lakh square feet. 10 lakh square feet of office absorption is going to lead to 10,000 jobs. 10,000 jobs. The metric is for every 70 square feet, one person. That's the space metric. And then common area loading will be there. Na? So I have rounded off to for every 100 square feet, one employee. Ease of use. So million square feet is 10,000 employees. If it's 10 million square feet, then 100,000 employees. That's how it needs to be seen.
Got it. So the higher the absorption rate, the more will be the number of people
Jobs.
who will be flooding in.
Yes.
And if more people flood in, demand will spike. If demand is about to spike, then a good neighborhood to invest in.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now let's look at schools. Which neighborhood would you want to pick?
Let's pick financial district. The
Financial
neighborhood
district.
where I'm operating, so I have good amount of data.
Okay, financial district. So considering the absorption rate, how many schools do you think a neighborhood is supposed to have to make it look like a good proposition, bad proposition, worst proposition?
So instead of telling the number of schools it needs to be having, think about it this way. Like for the households which are going to stay, like for example, let's say financial district, mein, the most of the households are going to earn around 50 lakhs LPA, right? They're in the top, I would say 1 percentile of the economy. Now for their kids, they'll need a minimum international school ka standard. So let's say the total number of seats from a neighborhood perspective might be less, but the consumption here is more international school. So you need to break it down into that category. So more number of distribution, if you look at the school per capita or seat basis, should be more on the international school side. Different neighborhood may more CBSE, ICSE schools. Then different neighborhood may more your state syllabus, and then different types of schools.
Which means if there's a neighborhood which has a very high number of CBSE and ICSE schools,
Yes.
that locality is more likely to be a
Yes.
high net worth locality.
Exactly. You're right.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
So if I'm given a choice between two localities, a locality which has very ordinary schools, let's say state board schools, and the other locality which has a very high concentration of CBSE and ICSE schools, I'm supposed to choose this locality or that locality.
Yes. Matlab, people earning more income are staying there.
Done. What about F&B, sir? Just look at the concentration and compare.
F&B also, you can just, again, using the Google APIs, you can see how many hotels, restaurants are there. And these days, it even comes with sort of information that what does a meal for two cost. So take a look at that. So depending on higher the cost, it means again, naturally more paying demography staying in that area.
Okay. So approximately, did you find a lot of CBSE and ICSE schools in financial district?
Yes, more international schools, which is
More
a notch
international
above CBSE and ICSE. The consolidation of, let's say, the number of IB school ka seats or, candidates is highest in this area compared to any
got it.
part.
So you're talking about the IB schools.
IB school,
because sir,
international.
today every school has the word international in it.
Yeah.
There is City International, there is Podar
These
International.
are IB curriculum.
Okay, because these schools, City International schools, the school where I studied from,
Uh-huh.
it was CBSE.
Okay.
It
got
wasn't IB board.
But
But then it had the term international.
international. Yeah, I meant international board.
Okay,
IB.
international board.
Yeah.
Got it. Then what about F&B? You spoke about meal for two. Can
Yeah.
you find this data also in Google?
Yes, maybe not in a direct search, but you typically, once you get the list of restaurants, right, you can randomly search 3-4 of those, and you can, when you do a restaurant level search, you're going to get it. From Zomato, it picks up and then Google displays it. Like,
For example, in Mumbai, Versova is this one place where there are a lot of great restaurants,
Mhm.
cafes, which anywhere have between 3,000 to 4,000 rupees cost per two people.
uh-huh.
And that to me is like a very good locality. Where can you find the F&B data? You can find it from,
Google Maps ka API se you can pull it out.
once you find it from Google Maps, you should just go and search on Zomato.
Yeah, and or even in Google you search also, this data comes out. Meal for two, what does it cost?
What range of meal for two is like a great range?
See, again, for something like financial district, it's like 3,000 rupees. Right now, something like probably north part of Hyderabad, I would say anything around 1,200 rupees.
So 3,000 rupees means premium locality.
Premium locality.
In Hyderabad.
Yes.
In Mumbai,
It might be 5,000. Like yesterday, I went to Worli. I went to this restaurant called Bombay Canteen. And it cost, like three of us were eating, it cost us 4,700. So we around 1,500 to 1,600 range there. And another restaurant there is like 2,000 rupees. So it's around 5,000 is what I've seen in Worli.
Perfect. So we have GDP 10 to 12%, a great marker. Agglomeration of IT as well as pharma
is also
in Hyderabad.
Yes.
For schools, you need to look for IB board schools.
Yes.
Then for F&B, if the AOV for two people.
Then it's just a small correction. So for schools like IB, you need to look for IB board for one level of families. CBSE, ICSE is one level of income. Let's assume this way. Like 50 lakh you're earning per year, household income is IB schools. More IB schools are there, matlab more people are earning 50 lakhs and above household incomes.
But so there is also a possibility that, so this is to understand which is a premium locality. Now what I'm also trying to understand is that there are also a lot of localities where the concentration of, let's say, the next tier of people earning between 10 to 12 lakh rupees, that concentration is so high that the property rates over there, they start shooting up.
Yes.
So this is only for premium locality, right?
Yes. I was telling the same thing. Depending on which locality, you need to map those schools. So like it's a example, if it's financial district, then IB schools is what you should be searching. How many IB schools are there? Let's say you are going into a mid-segment real estate. Then you need to be probably searching for CBSE, ICSE schools. Then you're going for more budget segment or value-based segment. Then you look for more, sort of, state-based syllabus. Like for example, let's say you want to invest in financial district. And if you're going to search how many schools are, let's say, state board schools. Like typically, I'm not saying state board schools are any less, but typically their fee structure is on the lower side. If you're going to look that, then somebody is launching an inventory which is more affordable in a place like financial district, that won't sell well. Why? Because your affordability ka cost of living ka metric aa jayega. Like let's say let's say it's a very prime area and you've made a very budget segment homes there. It makes intuitive sense, right? Okay, it's a prime area, budget centric homes will run, but people ka cost of living won't set. Like somebody who, if they want to stay in financial district and let's say the household income is 30 lakhs, they'll find it too costly to stay in the neighborhood. Hence, they'll stay a little far. So the schools tell a story of that.
Got it. So you are saying that if you're looking at a very, very premium locality, then it makes sense to look at this agglomeration. And only the most premium people, only the most affluent people will stay in that particular neighborhood. And as you keep going far away.
Yeah, like think about like a concentric circles. The farther and farther you grow, then you need to it's like income bands. People, let's say 2 kilometers from their offices. That's the highest earning group.
Got it.
5 kilometers next, 10 kilometers next, like that.
Got it. So if you want to plot a premium locality, look at the GDP of the city, look at agglomeration, look at IB schools, look at the F&B segment.
Correct. Car showrooms.
If all of these things tell you that here you can find the most affluent people, then you can safely invest in premium properties.
Premium real estate.
Got it.
Yes.
Now let's define premium over here. Sir. What would you define as premium in Hyderabad? What price range?
So in terms of square footage, it is around 10,000 rupees is per SFT is what we can define as premium. In terms of ticket price, matlab, what is a flat cost, like square feet into the area, right? Square feet into the price. It is anywhere around 2.5 crores. So 2.5 crore ka flat, you're in the top 1 percentile.
Got it.
Right? Anything 1.5, around 1 to 2 crores is more upper mid and below 1 is mid.
And you are saying that ye jo premium locality hai, wherever the concentration of industries is happening, there, even if there is an affordable property that's
Yes.
coming up, you should not invest in it.
No, yeah, it won't do good business because cost of living. This is one very, very important thing which most of the cases we developers also miss. We ourselves also missed in one of our project where we built, okay, thinking that naturally ticket size we have to reduce. How can you reduce ticket size? By building smaller square feet. But when we have seen this, that as the price, like average selling price of the area increase, even the average space requirement is also going up. Let's say some area is like financial district is 10,000. What we are seeing is the minimum size which needs to be there is 2,000, 2,200 square feet. Versus some area which is like 8,000 square feet, 8,000 rupees per square feet. There we are seeing the minimum size should be around 1,800. Intuitively, we think that, okay, to reduce the ticket price or the price of a flat at 10,000, let's say into 2,000 is like 2 crores. I want to sell a 1.5 crore flat in a 10,000 rupee ka location. Then what do? I reduce the size of the flat from 2,000 square feet to 1,500. This is not selling at that pace. This is something which we also learned after doing some mistakes. But yeah, it's a mistake, lesson learned in a very costly manner, but we learned it.
And the vice versa also applies.
Yes, yes. The lower the cost, the lower the size.
Got it. So if there is a neighborhood which has a very high concentration of state board schools,
Yes.
if there is a neighborhood where the F&B segment has an AOV, average order value of anywhere between
1,000 to 1,200.
1,000 to 1,200
Mhm.
for a meal for two,
Two. Huh.
then
A
you should not invest in a
premium
property.
property. Yes. Premium property. Yes.
Got
That's the way.
Got it, sir. I think this is pretty sorted.
Okay.
Guys, what I'll do is, because this is very, very complicated, I'll attach a document in the description. You can have a look at that document. I will also include more explanation using examples and some numbers so that you can understand what sir said over here. And then I think it will become easier for you to apply when you go and invest in real estate. So now tell me, what exactly is happening in Hyderabad, which makes it a very, very special place to invest?
So first and foremost, I would say is everything got to do with your job and employment status. So the city, on an average, a year is generating 1 lakh jobs in the tech and IT space. And again, next we are the pharma capital of the entire country. Right, majority amount of manufacturing and drug design and all of this API stuff happens in Hyderabad. We have a special area called Genome Valley on, I think it's on the north side of Hyderabad. Right, so employment prospectus. Right, next thing I believe very important is everything got to do with your utilities. Matlab, electricity, water, and this. Electricity, frankly, all the major cities in India have solved for that problem. Be it Bangalore, Bombay, Hyderabad, roughly electricity it's in good condition. We don't have like large scale power outages, right? But there's a huge difference when it comes to water infrastructure, right? If you look at some of the news articles, like what has happened with Chennai and Bangalore in the last 2-3 years. I remember 2 years back or something, where throughout India we were sending like water tanker car trains to Chennai. And then Bangalore faced acute water shortage in the last year or something, right? So water infrastructure is something very, very important when it comes to a city's key USP. Now let's talk about Hyderabad's case, right? I'll compare it with Bangalore because data is more clearly available. I've got through some data also. So a sign of any urban city from a water infrastructure standpoint is how much amount of water is coming from your piped water. Typical source of water is what? You put a borewell and you pull the groundwater out. This is all not so urbanized cities. So piped water ka connection kitna hai? And supply kitna hai? So in Hyderabad, we have 13 million population. Bangalore also has same 13 million population. Bangalore ka water board supplies kitna? 1460 MLD, million liters per day. Hyderabad, we are supplying 2610, almost 80% more water supply than Bangalore. Hence, the water shortages is significantly lower. Next thing, the coverage of city area by this water pipeline. See, let's say now there's water is there, but pipeline is not there in your area. Coverage also very important factor. Now the area which is served in Bangalore is 575 square kilometers, right? In Hyderabad, it is 1450. So again, almost all 2.75 times more than Bangalore. Matlab, more parts of the city, this water pipeline covers. So better chances of you getting the water, right? And naturally, because more water is supplied, per capita consumption of water is also high, right? Which is a very, very important indicator of urban life. So water infrastructure, we are the best position compared to any other Indian city as of now, right? Next, another very important factor, which I would attribute is got to do with security, right? And that to security, particularly around women's security. And why is that important? Specifically, if you look in India, one of the key challenge has been women participation in the labor force. And we read a lot of articles that women participation, because it's low, there's some X amount of growth which is not able to happen in the GDP and all that, right? Now, Hyderabad has the best, lowest crime statistics when it comes to crime situations, and particularly regarding women. What the city has done is they have done extensive investments in CCTV cameras. Might look small, but very, very important. 64% of all the CCTVs in entire India are simply in Hyderabad.
64% of entire India.
India. So if you look at 10 CCTV cameras, 6.4 of them are just in Hyderabad. That's the surveillance, policing surveillance system what we set up. And the highest in India and 7th highest in the world. So on any typical day, you go out and commute in a city for your day-to-day work.
But are they all working?
Let's assume 80% are working. But let's say if it's 80% working, the same would be the metric reasonably across the country, right? 10-20% का repair, damage, theft तो होता होगा. That we can't really stop. But many are there, like, and then, next thing is, so 64% are that. And on any typical day in Hyderabad, if you normally go from your home to office, you will be captured almost all 40 times. The highest again in India. In the world, highest is London. You will be screened, captured 300 times or something.
By captured, he means, guys, captured by the CCTV.
Yeah. Yes, captured by CCTV. And recently, government also invested in a very high-tech policing system where they're consolidating all the data coming in from these things, and real-time, based on the crowd aggregation, it's able to autonomously say that, okay, something is happening here and all. So because of all, and the government even set up a particular division of the police team called SHE teams, specifically targeting women's safety. Now, all these things led to a lot of safety reduction of crime rates against women, because of which labor force participation of women is very high. So what happens when the woman also participates in the labor, like she's also earning, is that your house becomes a double income household. So when there are two incomes feeding the household, the standard of living and quality of life goes up because there's more income at disposal, better schools for kids, better recreational life, social life, and all of that. So these three, I would say, is something which is working absolutely in Hyderabad's favor. Over and top of this, which is like icing on the cake, is the cost of living.
Cost of living.
Right? Let me again cite some statistics which I pulled out in this direction. Right? So a meal for two people in Hyderabad on an average costs around 1,200 rupees. Compared to Bangalore and Gurgaon, it's 2,000 rupees. And Mumbai is again 1,700 rupees.
You mean in restaurants, sir?
In restaurants, air-conditioned restaurants, you can think, which is seen as a typical metric. Average household income post-tax, right? In Hyderabad is 1 lakh. Bangalore is 1 lakh. Mumbai is 75,000. Gurgaon is 1,11,000. Mumbai mein one marker we need to put is the base of, like, there's a number of people staying in the city is also double compared to other cities.
Got it. This is what? 1 lakh is what?
The average amount of money household is earning per month post-taxes.
Post-taxes, okay.
So disposable income, what we can call.
So disposable income in Hyderabad is very high.
Is same compared to Bangalore and all these places, whereas spending costs a lot less. Matlab, more money will be there in people's hands, right? Now, a typical, let's say now you want to rent a flat, right? For the same 1 lakh rupees you're earning in Hyderabad, a typical 3-bedroom apartment in a reasonably city center locality is going to cost you 50,000 rupees.
50,000
50,000 rupees. Versus 70,000 in Bangalore. Bombay, it's 1,50,000.
Sir, in Mumbai,
it would be, these are aggregates.
You can't even get a decent 2 BHK for 50,000 rupees.
Yeah, it's 1,50,000. That's what data is showing. 3 times more.
Correct.
And in Gurgaon, it's again around 65,000. So for the same 1 lakh you're earning in Bangalore, you have to spend 70,000 to get a good apartment in city center locality for rent. In Hyderabad, you only need to spend 50,000. Matlab, more money is going to stay in your hand. Right? Another interesting statistic is the average school fees, right, for primary education. In Hyderabad, it is 2 lakhs in IB schools.
Okay.
Right? It's 2 lakhs. Bangalore, it's 2,75,000. Bombay is reasonably well at 2,20,000. And Gurgaon is 3,18,000.
3,18,000.
Gurgaon education for some reason looks very costly, right? And then another important thing, if you want to buy a house, this is all if you wanted to rent a house and stay in. If you want to buy a house in prime city center areas, Hyderabad, it costs you around 10,000 rupees per SFT. Bangalore, 20,000 rupees per SFT, the core areas. Mumbai, it's 60,000 rupees per SFT. And Gurgaon, it's 20,000. So for the same 1 lakh earning, see, in Hyderabad and Bangalore, your average per capita earning is the same. Whereas for the same 1 lakh, you can buy a bigger house, you can rent a bigger house, you can send your school to a better school, your kid to a better school, compared to earning the same in these cities.
And you can eat more.
You can eat more. I wouldn't recommend that, but yeah, you can eat more. Eat out more or maybe.
And plus, it's a lot safer.
Lot safer. Lot safer. In fact, one of the statistics not on top of my mind, in terms of crime rates, we are the best compared to all these cities.
Yes, sir. I actually have the crime rate data. For Delhi, it's about 1,832. For Bangalore, it's 337. For Mumbai, it's 367. And for Hyderabad, it is 266.7.
It's considerably lower, or six and a half times less compared to Delhi. Right, to put it in perspective.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
In fact, I would all the people now, who are like in the phase of like probably settling down in a city, please come visit Hyderabad on a weekend and then decide. And another important metric also which I want to cite, Ganesh, is urban mobility. Right. So this simply talks about the amount of time you're going to spend in traffic for commute, day-to-day commute. Even in urban mobility, Hyderabad is one of the best. I think just Delhi is better than Hyderabad. Apart from Delhi, Hyderabad has much better urban mobility speed compared to, Bangalore, Mumbai and Pune.
Got it.
Right?
So tell me something. Does town planning have an important role to play over here? Because the one trend that I've observed is that if a particular city has traffic problems, what happens is it results into hotspots. For example, in Andheri, there are about 3 to 4 buildings. Oberoi Springs, then there is Adani Western Heights, and then there is Runwal. These 3 buildings have crazy rents. But that's not because these buildings are amazing. It is because if somebody is working at Andheri West, that person doesn't want to stay 10 kilometers away at Malad West. Why? Because that 10-kilometer stretch
is going to take a lot of time.
Will cost you 45 minutes every single day. So, wherever there is very high traffic or wherever there's a traffic problem, does it mean that it will give you great hotspots to invest in?
Oh, yeah. From an investment standpoint, yes. From a citizen standpoint, it becomes unaffordable. Like, for example, you mentioned these projects, right? Runwal project and all. Why the rents are so high is because people have to travel, like spend another 45 minutes of active time in commuting to that space, which is like commuting is like dead weight loss. You're not going to become smart by commuting for longer periods, right? So hence what's happening, people have to stay in the region. Let's say if the town planning is better. Matlab, let's say you have better public transport. I wouldn't say bigger roads because bigger roads is going to invite more cars. If you have better public transport, let's say instead of 45 minutes, you're going to go there in 20 minutes. What happens? Then you wouldn't mind, why would you pay such high rent here? You will go there. But from investment standpoint, yes. If the town planning is typically not so good, there are these hotspots which will get you further alpha.
Perfect. So doesn't Hyderabad have a slum problem?
Much less, Ganesh. Very, very little. For one reason being, Hyderabad is a land, it's not a landlocked city. There's a lot of land availability, right?
Okay.
So unlike Bombay, see, Bombay is landlocked. So it's like an archipelago of like 6 or 7 islands, right? All you have to build there. So you have to rehabilitate the slums and build bigger, apartments. Unlike in Hyderabad, let's say there is a slum, right? The city, there's a lot more land available, right? So you just go in areas where there's no slum. So relatively, the slum problem is very, very less in Hyderabad compared to Bombay. That is the reason Bombay may you see a lot of projects which do slum rehabilitation and redevelopment of a slum. Hyderabad mein there's hardly any project which comes in the redevelopment format. In fact, not even one per year. Bombay, I think it's almost 20% of the supply in core area is coming from slum redevelopment.
Correct. But how do we solve the slum problem in Bombay?
See, I think the program which the government has here, which is a redevelopment part, is a viable solution world over. Now, the challenge here is when this redevelopment sort of proposals are floated with people, it's a distribution. Like now you need to get consent from, let's say, on a typical land, you need to get like 3 acres mein ek project banana hai, you might have to talk with 2 owners. Now 3 acres mein there might be, I don't know, like 100 dwellings which might be there. You need to get consent from all these people, right? This is what is costing time. Of course, there is a percentage. Like I think, if I'm not wrong, in Bombay, it is 70% or something like that. You want them to agree. And naturally now for somebody has to agglomerate the 70% of the people on one side. So there will be multi-layered involvement from local, politician to local, a lot of hyper-local it becomes. Hence, it increases the timeline to source land.
But do you think it can be solved?
See, definitely the model which is there in Bombay is relatively good. Right?
Can you explain that model?
See, like developers who want to sort of, go and obtain land in a particular area, they have to work with, there are already land aggregators who are now slowly springing up. They are speaking with all these, dwelling owners and establishing a commercial framework. Okay, boss, you have itna hai aapka dwelling ka size, you will get in the redeveloped plan, you will get like 1,000 square feet maybe, right? Or 500 square feet. And for the next 4 years, because you will not be staying here, you will be staying in X apartment. This is the amount of rent we will get. Typically, these are the commercial lines. Now, ye consent, this land aggregator goes and gets with, 70% or whatever is the mentioned percentage as per the law, right? And once he has that required percentage ka approval, then he or she goes to the developer and says, okay, boss, I have this many people ka approval. Hence, you come and do a joint development. Now, as a land aggregator, I might have like 5-6% of inventory on my name. Like that's as my services. Rest will go to the dwelling owners. And rest of the inventory goes to the developer. Now, what is happening over a period of time is the land aggregator services are becoming more mature. Right? Matlab, initially, the land aggregator could be anybody who might just be like a association president of that, dwelling units, right, of that slum. He could act like a, so in that case, he might not possess all the necessary skill sets and the infrastructure to do it in an organized manner. By infrastructure, I mean legally what sort of documents you need to procure and how you need to structure the commercial transaction. All of that they might not know. But now what's happening, because the market is maturing, there are land aggregator companies who have a good framework in place. Okay, what sort of documentation will sail well with the bankers? Because tomorrow bankers have to finance this construction and the home loans will be purchasing. How the ownership structure has to be well established, right? And where, like, how do you deal with all the, people of that land? All of this, there are organized structure. Hence, it's increasing the cost naturally, but it is speeding up the process. So it is a viable thing. Maybe one has to look deeper into it to see. I feel one area, Ganesh, how it can be fastened up is if you have more incentive for the land aggregator, because who is doing the service of procuring the land, right? If he or she can have a much better incentive structure, maybe government can give some sort of FSI relaxation. FSI, to let the viewers know, it's amount of square feet you can build on a piece of land.
Correct.
Right? Now, let's say typically developer pays in Bombay, I don't know the exact, let's assume they're paying like 5,000 rupees as FSI cost. Per SFT, they're paying 5,000 and the developer is buying like 1 million square feet. Now, that would cost close to 50 crore. If they can give 20% rebate in that money can move to the aggregator. So, the aggregator, if he or she is well incentivized, then the process will be faster.
Perfect. Makes sense, sir. So before we dive into the next segment, I want to understand, other than Hyderabad, which are the best 5 cities to invest in real estate in India?
See, I think next would be Bangalore. Why again? Bangalore is offering enormous amount of employment options. In fact, it's ahead of Hyderabad. They are doing around 150,000 to 170,000 jobs in the tech space alone.
Top 3 localities in Bangalore?
The new upcoming one, that Airport Car Road, I think it's called Hebbal or Yeshwantpura. This stretch is something which is very, very important. And then Sarjapur, it's an established market, but again, there are good opportunities there. And Whitefield Extension is also one good area.
Whitefield Extension.
But the core Whitefield is now built out.
Got it.
Right?
Next,
I would say Gurgaon is another very good place.
You think Gurgaon is overvalued?
Again, I must confess that my knowledge is not very thorough when it comes to micro market level in Gurgaon. But I think it's going through its own curve. I'll tell you why the valuations are justified as of now, at least. Because Gurgaon mein na, a lot of the tech companies went to IPO over the last 2-3 years. A lot of the people who invested in those companies early stage and unka senior level employment who got ESOPs, right? They got an exit. So there's a flush of money which people are sitting with. Let's say you suddenly got an ESOP exit for 20 crores. What are you going to do? You're going to invest in real estate at least 10 crores because it can absorb that amount. You can't go and invest 50 lakh into 40 assets. You can't do that. So that way, Gurgaon mein, a lot of the investors, be it financial investors or be it professionals, like people who are like CTO, CEO types, or your chief risk officer. So these sort of people who are getting exits. That exit money is going into that, which is fueling the entire high luxury property ka boom. And another value add which a luxury property offers is again consolidation of like-minded people. Like let's say I'm like CTO of a tech company. I exited and I invested, and let's say the apartment costs something like 15 crores. Somebody who's bought a 15 crores, my neighbor, also is buying the same 15 crore apartment. He or she is also well established in their fields.
Correct.
High chances. I'm not saying absolute chances, but high chances. So look at the synergies of what would happen if we two meet, or what are the synergies if there are 100 people like that meeting together. That is also fueling the rage of buying into these properties.
Got it.
So yeah, from an affordable perspective, I think it's it's sort of overvalued. But again, from a luxury perspective, it's right valued. So what would naturally happen, just like what I mentioned earlier part of the podcast, different micro markets within Gurgaon will cater to different customer. So you need to, sort of do that research.
So if somebody has a budget of about 1 to 2 crore rupees, should they invest in Gurgaon?
If 1 to 2 crore, I would recommend Hyderabad is a much better investment than Gurgaon. Because what's happening with more and more consolidation of luxury inventory buyers, the cost of living also shoots up, right? So if it's 1 to 2 crore, Hyderabad is a very good market. Probably if it is 15 crores range, yes, Gurgaon and Hyderabad again. If you actually look in terms of luxury real estate, from a city aspect, we are number one in the country. So let me share some statistics. Mumbai, pura MMR mila ke. Mumbai is like multiple regions, right? Almost 7 municipalities, if I'm not wrong. All of this combined, they did close to 20,000 crores of inventory sale, right? Where the home price is above 10 crores. That is the inventory sold, 20,000 crores worth of inventory. NCR, again, which is a region, right? Which is Gurgaon, Noida, Delhi ka main areas and all of that. All of that combined, they could do 17,000 crores. Hyderabad is a city, it's not a region. City may we did 10,000 crores. So even for luxury real estate, the city has done exceptionally well. But nevertheless, I would recommend, cities like Gurgaon and all. Gurgaon and Hyderabad can be closely seen. If you're looking at luxury like 10 crore and above, Bangalore is not the market. Like Bangalore did 1,400 crores worth of inventory sale. Chennai, Kolkata is 150. Chennai is 600-700 crores.
And what about the affordable range?
Affordable range, Bangalore is slightly bigger than Hyderabad. Bangalore sells close to, at a city level, they sell close to 60,000 homes. Hyderabad is around 50 to 55,000 homes. Pune is also same, I think around 60,000 homes. Pune is more and more affordable. Like they do majority of the distribution of asset. Pune is more around the 1 crore segment. Hyderabad and Bangalore are now moving towards a 2 crore segment.
2 crore segment.
2 crore house segment.
And Mumbai?
Mumbai, again, broadly speaking at MMR level, I think it's more like a 4-5 crore. But if you look at like core city, core part like Worli and these, then you're talking like 25 crore minimum. And maybe if you talk Thane like that, then I think it comes down to the 3 crore wala segment, 3 to 5 crore. So it depends.
But 1 to 2 crores in Mumbai mein to kuch nahi.
Kuch nahi aayega. It's better to stay on rent.
Makes sense. Got it. Sir, this rent versus buy is a very interesting debate. Right? But I don't want to ask you the cliche question. I want to ask you a more nuanced question with regards to Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore and Gurgaon. Okay. You mentioned something very, very interesting right now. You said that if it is anywhere between the range of 1 to 2 crores that you want to invest, Hyderabad is a much better city
It's
to
the best
invest.
option now.
But if you want to invest the same amount of money in Mumbai, don't do it. Instead, stay
at rent.
on rent.
Yes.
Which means what? From what I'm able to deduce, there is a certain cap below which you should not invest in a particular city and you should simply stay on rent. My question is, in Mumbai, what is that price range? In Hyderabad, what is that price range? And in Bangalore, what is that price range?
So let's understand mainly from rental yield standpoint, Ganesh. right? Mumbai mein, because the property price is so high, your rental yields are about 1.5%. If rental yield is 1.5%, so first one needs to understand. So the question is investing in real estate to earn annuity, matlab to earn rents. There's another way to invest in real estate, mainly from capital appreciation. That we'll deal separately. This is purely because this needs to be segregated. If not, people get confused most of the time.
ठीक है सर, लेट्स डू वन थिंग, लेट्स ब्रेक इट डाउन. मैं आपको ब्रेक डाउन करके पूछ लेता हूँ एंड देन वी कैन ब्रेक इट डाउन फर्दर. ठीक है, उसके पहले ये कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं. आई एम सॉरी आई फॉरगॉट. वी वर स्पीकिंग अबाउट बैंगलोर, गुड़गांव एंड देन व्हिच इज द नेक्स्ट
Other place, I would say Thane is also a good sort of a micro market what we are looking at.
What do you think about Pune, sir?
Pune is also a good one.
For
Relatively
affordable.
Pune is mainly around that 1 crore ka product, Ganesh. And there is a niche sort of a demand for ultra luxury, which is for 5 crore wala. So Pune,
Pune?
Yes, very niche. Because Pune na add lot of what do you say, high tech engineering manufacturing there. So uska senior level executives and all of that, there's good amount of crowd like that, but very niche. So Pune mein that 1.2 crore ka demand is very strong, and that 5 crore ka demand is very strong, but very niche. Like probably I would say somewhere around not more than 500-600 crores worth of inventory.
But 3 to 5 crores के बीच पे
Nothing. Not even 3. I would say 1.5 to 5. Pune is not the best place. Because Pune na is attracting the low end part of IT industry, probably IT services side.
Okay.
Right? Hyderabad and Bangalore, because of higher tech skills available in the engineering graduates and more number of people being available, you are attracting IT product and R&D divisions. Actually, they pay more, right? So Pune is IT services. Matlab, you'll see more TCS, Wipro, Cognizants and all. And Hyderabad is more product companies. You'll see Google, Amazon, Facebook, and even setting up their R&D centers also. Hyderabad and Bangalore. Bangalore as currently that extra, edge in terms of earning because of a lot of startups which are well funded are out of Bangalore. Hyderabad with the infrastructure, the ecosystem is still being nurtured.
Understood, sir. So Bangalore में airport के नजदीक वाला region?
It's a good region.
Hebal, you said, right?
Yeah, I think it's Hebbal or Yeshwantpura.
Okay.
It's called North Bangalore essentially.
Then you've got Sarjapur.
Sarjapur, which is an established market but still has good room.
And then Whitefield Extension. Okay. Then we spoke about Gurgaon. And what would be the average ticket size that you would recommend for Gurgaon? A good investment in terms of capital appreciation and rent both put together.
See, Gurgaon, to be very frank, my knowledge is limited. But however, based on the theory, what I've told so far, see, average selling price is 20,000 square feet. And the appetite for larger spaces is quite strong there. So one should be looking at around that 2,500 to 3,000 square feet. But I would recommend users to cross-check it because my knowledge is limited around Gurgaon.
Got it. For Thane, you again mentioned...
Same range. Thane is also a good...
2 to 3 crores, right?
Yeah, 2 to 3 crore or 3 crore-ish wala market.
Pune,
so
1
working
to 2
professional
crores.
wala market.
ठीक है. Thane is 2 to 3 crores. Pune is 1 to 2 crores.
1 to 2 crores.
And Hyderabad में भी 1 to 2 crores चलेगा.
Yeah, around 2 crores, 1.5 to 2.
ठीक है. So now I want to understand what are the most important parameters a person is supposed to analyze before they go and invest in a property. And I'm talking strictly residential property.
Got it.
Okay. So in my head, there are only two factors, capital appreciation and rental yield. First, let's establish all the factors and then we can go deeper and talk about properties in
Each
Hyderabad.
of strategy for each of the way,
Yeah.
right? So first, Ganesh, first and foremost is if it's a residential housing, don't invest in projects which do not have a RERA number. So
RERA
what is
number.
RERA? Real Estate Regulatory Authority. So it's an authority or a body established by the government of India, right, which will govern the activities of real estate companies, particularly from the point of view of safeguarding consumer interest. That's what RERA is.
Sir, can you explain what happens to a property under RERA and without RERA?
Okay, that's a good question. So let me cite two particular value adds which RERA is bringing in. So when RERA was not there, right, as a developer, when I go and get RERA approval, RERA cross-checks if I have all other approvals, be it environmental, be it fire and safety, and is my design complying with the current FSI norms. In the past, when RERA was not there, I sourced the land as a developer, and before getting the approval from maybe fire authority or the municipality regarding the planning norms, I started selling, expecting that on, let's say I bought 1 acre of land and usme I'm going to get like 100,000, 1 lakh square feet. Expecting I'm getting 1 lakh square feet, I started selling. When I went to approval, because some norm changed or some norm I did not really understand well, in reality, I'm ending up getting only 50,000 square feet. What happens? As a buyer, you already paid for your flat, and that area itself is I'm unable to build.
Sir, are you telling me that before RERA, that I could be paying for 1000 square feet ka ghar, and
Which is not even approved, which is in the thin air.
and then after the entire building is built, I could be getting only 500 square feet.
Possible. Yes, this did happen. That is one thing. Second is the project itself would never even start.
Never even start.
Never even start. Why? Approval is not coming. So it's just, I'm just, as a developer, I'm just pushing, whereas I've already taken money from you. So this is one big way how consumers used to, get lose money in real estate. You've seen a lot of such cases happen in Noida, which has come out in the papers, right? You see buyers bought X square foot. By the time they got the flat, it's 30% down. Like you bought 1000 square foot, but you only got 700 square foot and nothing you could do. This was one major value add which RERA did. So RERA says for RERA to give you a number, they'll give you a RERA number, right? And you can only sell after getting the RERA number. So when RERA is giving that number, they check whether you have all these compliances or not. So thereby protecting the buyer from a square footage perspective at a gross level. Another thing what RERA used to do before RERA came, as a developer, now I sold an apartment to you. I started getting the money. And let's say I sold you 100 rupees ka flat and you gave me as an advance, like, maybe depending on the construction milestone, you have given me 25%, 25 rupees. The project requires in the beginning less amount of money, right? Because you're only doing the structure part, right? You're not doing the finishes and all, which takes less money. So let's assume the project takes only 10 rupees. So the other 15 rupees, which essentially I should be spending in the project, I'll take that 15, go buy another land. So funds used to go out of this project. Thereby, this existing project, because of lack of funds, the construction used to slow down. So instead of me delivering in 4 years, I'm ending up delivering in 7 or 8 years. These are two fundamental ways how RERA is safeguarding the buyers.
Time and specification.
Time and specification.
Got it. So the first thing that you're supposed to check is RERA number. So what if a builder says, this is my RERA number and that's a fake RERA number? How do you check a fake RERA number?
You can take that number, go to the RERA website and punch in that number. It will give all the statistics of the project. If it doesn't, then it's fake. You can go complain then and there. There's a complaint portal also there. And the RERA does find developers if it's found legitimate. So they can do that.
Then what's next?
So once after getting the RERA, then you do the product market fit right. Whatever. So, okay, which area I need to be investing and what sort of supply is coming up in that area. And then you go to the developer and then you sort of, most of the projects across India in cities, like you end up spending 15% down payment. You put out of your pocket. Rest 85% you take a bank loan, right? And this 85%, mind you, will not be dispersed upfront to the developer. It will be dispersed stage-wise, right? Like as they build every 5 slabs or 10 slabs, whatever, depending on the height of the building and how the payment structure is laid out. Uske hisab se money gets dispersed. Here there are two pitfalls which people needs to be very take a note of. What I've seen through my 10 years career when I spoke with various investors and all of that, projects which are taking more cash, right, unaccounted money, have a typical tendency to delay, right? And when I spoke with various number of investors, what I could see is roughly when the customer gave or when the developer took more than 25% of your sale proceeds in the form of cash, most of those projects are not seeing through the light. Matlab, they are saying 4 years, but they're taking 7-8 years. They're telling 4 years, some of them are not started. Now, why? Why does this happen? As a developer, let's say I took cash from you. Now, I have to take that cash, and before I take all that unaccounted money, I can't do an agreement because in the agreement, I'll not be mentioning this, right? So I need to take all that money upfront, whereas the project, as per the payment structure, might say I need to pay only 10%, but I took 25%. So I took off all that extra money. I can't take this money. So I can do two things with this money. One, I can pay the contractor or vendor this money, or I can take this money to my home. It's very difficult for a developer to pay this money back to the contractor or to the vendor because you will have to engage with your finance people. They have to engage with your contracts team. Like 10 people in your company will know what has happened to this unaccounted money, which has naturally safety issue, right? If income tax comes, they'll be easily able to extract this information from these people. So hence, very rarely developers put this money back into operations.
Got it.
what does it? They take it home. By home, maybe they can take this money and probably buy another land or consume it by themselves. So a good amount of money which is paid for building your house goes outside the project, then naturally cash flow problem बढ़ जाएगा. मतलब most likely 4 years में जो बनना है, that will go to 6 or 7 years. So beware as a note that even if you as a consumer have cash, I would strongly recommend not to, push the developer to take more money. Or if the developer is asking you more cash, I would say the risk quotient has to be placed higher. I'm not saying that, okay, not everybody who's asking cash are going to defunct, not like that, but the tendency goes up. That's one very, very important
First
thing.
pitfall.
First pitfall. Then I would say the second pitfall is have a good understanding of kitna carpet area aa raha hai aapko. Like most of the times, of course, now after RERA, it's become very clear as developers, we need to mention what is the saleable area, what is the common area, what is the carpet area. Carpet area matlab simple, like where all you can put your carpet, matlab your active livable space. Common area matlab your corridor ka area, your staircase ka area, lift lobby ka area. And some developers add some other areas as well. Whatever they're adding, they need to disclose, right? And then some addition of carpet area plus common area becomes a saleable area. In some cities like Hyderabad, we sell on saleable area. In Bombay, I believe they sell on carpet area, so not a problem. So this area statement also they need to carefully check out.
Got it. 2 pitfalls. One you mentioned cash.
Yes.
The other is area.
Yes. Actually, one other point I want to mention, Ganesh, is now the developer ka expertise on the project, because it's very, very important. Any large scale housing project, which has like above 1,000 apartments, is a fairly complex piece of engineering which is required to build it out. Most of the times what we see is somebody who's been there in the business for 25 years, but has been building more like a 5-floor building. Suddenly they're building a 40-floor tower. So most likely the quality issues in that building will be high because lack of subject matter expertise.
Correct. तो experience देखना चाहिए.
Now, how can you find this? किधर मिलेगा आपको ये experience का data? Simple. Go to the developer का website. All developers in their website mention completed project का section. Take a snap of that, right? Just there, and there will be images. See उनका building का height क्या है and building का typology क्या है. मतलब, is this a residential building? Is this a commercial building? Or is this a mall, retail building? Let's say I'm a developer, 25 years experienced. All my experience lies in retail building, मतलब malls, building malls. But here I'm selling you a high-rise apartment which has 50 floors. Naturally, my life cycle understanding will be low. So this has to be factored into the buying equation.
Perfect.
Right? These three, if they check, they're most likely 8 out of 10 times their investment is going to be safe.
Got it. Sir, how do you negotiate with the builder?
I mean, I don't know how people do it.
Sir,
but
you of all people should be able to tell me this because you are a builder.
I'm on the other side, right?
Because I've seen people do such a phenomenal job that I'll not name this person, but then I've seen this person walk into the room and the quotation was about 1.5 crores. This person got it down to 85 lakh rupees.
Wow, okay.
Okay. It was just magic. So I do not know whether that guy overquoted the price or this person was insanely good at bargaining. But how does this bargaining happen and what is the best way to bargain with a builder?
So as a customer, I would say go to a developer at time, maybe when it's closer to handover, there are certain inventory which are not very desirable, right? Probably I would say maybe it's on the lower floor, like different cities have different priorities, right? Maybe like Hyderabad likes a lot of inventory in the upper floors. Like NCR likes inventory in the lower floors. हर एक city का एक chemistry चलता है. So there will be sort of unsold or I would say less desired inventory available with the developer, जिसके ऊपर you can get a good deal. Like think about you see if clothing like fashion में ना inventory clearance sale बोल के रहेगा ना. That time you can, like same thing happens with the builder also, inventory clearance sale.
Okay.
Which is more closer to the handover or post handover. Go at that time, you can expect a good sort of a discount, right? I can say that. And maybe, I think, see, if the and more even developers also, na Ganesh, at least the ones who are doing large scale sales, they are sticking to what they are quoting. Neither like, they are not quoting like 1.5 crore and selling it at 85 lakhs. They're going to quote 1 crore and sell it 85 lakhs maybe. But utna discount if somebody gives also, I think, I would say raise a red flag if it's an early stage of the project. Later stage, I can assume that it's undesired clearance wala sale.
So during the early stage, and here's what my understanding was back then, that the builder by himself is also facing cash flow issues.
Mhm.
So if you are the person who's contributing to the cash flow, which is helping him complete the project comfortably, there is a possibility that they might give you a discount, right?
But the risk significantly goes up because one person giving in that money doesn't solve the problem. You need at least 200 people to do that. Now, what if the developer doesn't find 200 such people? So, in fact, in early stages, if the developer is giving a discount to the tune of like something what you have mentioned, that's almost what 40% discount, it's going to be high risk. It means the developer did not do a financial closure. Now, what does financial closure mean? Financial closure means, let's say I'm building out this project which costs 100 crores over the next 4 years. A minimum of 2.5 to 3 years, 65 to 70% of the timeline, right, which will entail 3 years and approximately 75% of the cost. Uska, I should have a clear map of how I'm going to source funds. If significant of that funds are coming from the customer, that means high risk again. Because what if the customer doesn't come? The project would be stalled. So if a developer is giving you huge discount in the early stage, it's much, much more risky. Matlab, he's under financial stress. In early stage, if you're financial stress, then he or she is solely depending on sales to propel the construction of the building.
But RERA can protect me, right?
How RERA protects is, it will protect you from the developer stopping the developer from taking this money out. But RERA doesn't say, let's say the developer needs minimum of 50 sales a month to keep his construction pace. What will RERA protect you? Let's say I did only 10 sales. I'm keeping the money in the project, but I don't have sufficient money. RERA doesn't protect you from that.
So RERA can't ensure completion?
No, RERA can't ensure completion. RERA can ensure financial discipline. But RERA can't ensure that the developer has all the financial wherewithal to complete a project. That RERA is left to the entrepreneur.
So this person can say 4 years and then take it up to 7 years.
Yeah, there will be RERA fines and all levied on the developer.
But then the builder is supposed to pay an interest to the customer, right?
Yes. He'll pay the interest, but what if he just didn't source sufficient funds? After paying some months ka interest, he'll declare bankruptcy. Aapka ghar to gaya na.
Got it.
So that's it. RERA
So this discount was a risky move, you're saying?
Yeah, if it's happening in the beginning stage of the project, simply don't buy. If you are buying, there's much higher risk. Reward is, if he finishes, you're going to get a very good deal, but much higher risk.
But thankfully the project finished, sir. So
good for him. Good for him. Very good. If it's in the later half of that, once maybe you see 70% of the work done, then it's clearance wala sale. Then no problem.
Beautiful. So the best way to negotiate with the builder is?
Clearance wala sale is best and safe. The best and the risky one is go upfront and negotiate. If you're getting that thing, if you're getting that huge discount, risk goes up, but so does reward.
But give me some other strategy, sir. This is very surface level strategy.
Ganesh, I don't think I can, I mean, to be frank, I've never thought of it from a customer standpoint. The developer various strategies we
but
deploy.
You tell me, which are okay, so let me just rephrase this. Okay. What do you think is a good margin to negotiate? Do you think 20% is a good margin to negotiate?
I think 20% is a high margin. Around 5 to 7% is a good margin to negotiate.
But how do you understand if this builder is just overquoting the price?
You can take a look at the market mein what is the pricing of ready to move in inventory in that locality. You can simply do this by property portal wala search. Now property portal may also there are multiple agents who list at multiple prices. So you broaden up your search, take an averages, you'll understand what is the sale price of a ready to move in inventory, under construction inventory. Uske hisab se you can go and do it. However, in certain cities like Bombay, right, where the agreement of sale is also registered, right? In cities like Hyderabad, agreement of sale is not registered. Sale deed is registered.
What do you mean by this, sir? I'm sorry.
So whenever you buy the property, right, Ganesh, and you have not yet paid 100% of the proceeds, matlab during under construction time. Let's say property costs 100 rupees, you have given the developer 30 rupees, right? So you enter into an agreement called agreement of sale, wherein which you'll have the conditions that Ganesh has given me 30 rupees. He has to still give me 70 rupees at so-and-so milestones. And after giving that, we will enter into a sale deed wherein I transfer the ownership from the developer to the Ganesh. In cities like Bombay, even the agreement of sale is supposed to be registered. Once it's registered, it's a public document, right? You can simply go online, which is all open source, and search for these agreements and see kitna price hai. And take 10-15, so it will get an average price. Uske hisab se you go and do it. Very simple.
Which website is this, sir?
In at least Hyderabad, it's IGRS, it's called. here I have to just cross check. Like maybe you can do a general search, like
Got it.
it's an online agreements database. You can get it. 2-3 Google searches, maybe you'll get it.
Understood.
At least in Telangana, it's IGRS. It's called.
Which is the best way to get the highest return in real estate?
It's flipping, Ganesh. Absolutely. So let me detailedly explain this strategy, because this is very less understood in real estate. So let's say you bought a house, which is 100 rupees, right? Now, most of the real estate transactions, you do 15% down payment.
Okay.
85% of the purchase cost will be financed by a home loan provider, right? Now, let's say the property is appreciating at a bare minimum of 6.7%.
Why 6.7%?
Because I'm just pegging it to inflation. Inflation in the country is around 6.5%. Last quarter has come down, but broadly looking at the last 3-4 years, it's been around 6.5%. So for ease of calculation, I'm saying 6.7 because rounding of figure, right? 6.5% is the inflation in the country, compounded annually. Matlab, let's say your 100 rupees, uska, if it doesn't become 106 rupees next year, it will earn you less goods than what it's inflation. You understand? So let's say the real growth in property market is 0. Matlab, really it has not grown anything. Only inflation adjustment ho raha hai. Let's peg that number at 6.7%, rounding off ke liye. Now, a 6.7% annually compounded return rate, let's say the project is taking 4 years. In 4 years, your 100 rupees will end up being 130 rupees. That is the property value after 4 years. Now, let's say that day you want to sell that flat and get an exit. Now, let's debit the liabilities. Out of 130 rupees, first you need to debit all the money which you took from the bank, the home loan provider, which is what? 85 rupees. So 130 se 85 nikal do, ab kitna hai? 45 rupees. Now, over the 4 years, mind you, this entire 85 rupees is not dispersed upfront in one shot. Bank disperses maybe 25% in first year, 30% next year, 15% third year. ऐसा एक staged program होता है ये. Now, approximately for these 4 years, for the principal which the bank dispersed, right? Most of the home loan mortgages now are around 8.5%. The interest component what you end up paying in this 4 years is another 15 rupees. So 45 में से वो 15 निकाल दो. You're left with what? 30 rupees. You invested what? 15 rupees. So you invested 15 and you got 30 rupees. That's doubling your money in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? I'll tell you some of the pitfalls also in this.
Okay.
Right? It can't be this simple.
This is too good to be true.
So, doubling your money in 4 years is 19.1% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. In simple interest, 25%. Now, what are some of the pitfalls in this? Some of them I've mentioned earlier, but I'll reiterate here is, if the 4-year period goes to 6 years, kya hoga? You will end up paying more and more interest, hence your return comes down. So, invest with the developers who have got the financial wherewithal and technical wherewithal to finish that project.
Do they declare when will they finish the project?
Yeah, it is clearly declared in the agreement. So, look at that.
Sir, I'm actually a civil engineer, so I shouldn't be asking you this question. But I'm a terrible civil engineer, which is why I'm asking you this question. Okay, got it, sir. So, 4 years is a good span.
Good span, yes.
And a good mortgage rate would be 8.5%.
8.5% currently, but these are flexible. As the RBI reduces interest rates or increases interest rates, this keeps moving.
Got it.
Right? Next, another important thing is to have a decent understanding of the supply of that particular product which you're buying.
What do you mean by that, sir?
Let's say you bought because see, end of the day, you're buying an apartment, right? Let's say you bought a 2.5 bedroom apartment. Let's say it's 1700 or 1500 square feet. In Bombay, let's say 1000 square feet, ease of discussion. Ke liye. Now, this unit you're going to sell in the future, it needs to have good number of, it should not be in oversupply 4 years from now, right? If it's in oversupply, what happens? You will take longer time to sell your unit, thereby again disturbing your return rate. So for that, go to this RERA website, see what is the supply of these inventories coming in that micro market. Usse you can simply plot the supply equation and you do online research. You're going to get the demand side. Okay, how many offices are coming? How many roads? Is there an upgradation of the road? Is there a metro line which is coming? Any this sort of thing further boost your case.
So how do you understand oversupply? Like, how do you mathematically understand oversupply?
Interesting. There is no like a clear metric around it, but there are certain thumb rules like, okay, see 1 square feet of IT space gives demand for 7 square feet of residential space. There's a spillover effect.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's talk about this, sir. Spillover effect.
Let's say some company is coming and leasing like 100,000 square feet of IT space. Over the span of next 4 to 6 quarters, it is going to lead to a into seven. Let's say 1 lakh square feet, then 7 lakh square feet residential demand it's going to create.
Okay.
So you use these metrics and you'll get a decent understanding of the residential supply.
Got it.
Right? Now, big IT companies generally put out press statements, which will come online. So now this is where you need to probably use a little bit more of your acumen. Okay, not all the information will be available online. Kitna multiplier factor hoga? Let's say online mein, I got information that there is 1 million square feet has been leased. Right? There will be a good amount of information which will never see the light also. Like maybe the company leased, they never made a press statement. Hota hai ye sab. So put like a 0.3 multiplier or a 0.4 multiplier. Okay, if it's 1 million square feet is what's spoken out, then in reality it will be 13 lakh. Uske upar if you do the equation, then you'll get a decent understanding. Next, see, one thing which always is a threat for real estate investment and for developers also, oversupply. And mind you, in a 10-year period, 8 years will have oversupply. Right? Most of the time there will be oversupply.
In 8 years, there'll be oversupply.
Most of the times. Yeah, in a 10-year period, most of the periods there'll be oversupply.
Why so, sir?
Because the demand, whenever it goes up, everybody runs in at the same time, right? Then you end up creating oversupply. This is where the developer's expertise and the product, quality also becomes very, very important. Let's say after handover, developer A built a 2.5 bedroom, developer B built 2.5 bedroom, but let's say the quality is bad for developer B. Naturally, both will not be at the same price. So it's very, very important to understand the developer's wherewithal. It's like the developer is very, very essential in this game of you earning that 18 to 20% CAGR.
Beautiful.
Right? So this is how you earn money, by flipping.
Got it. And also the rental yield by the time you get the possession of the property, that will also go up, right?
Yeah, rental yield. See, rental yield, Ganesh, yeah, on the price at which you purchase, because you purchase at early stage, entry level, naturally you will have like a 3.5% rental yield. To 4.5% also it goes in cities like Hyderabad and Bangalore in certain, I would say, IT pockets. And off lately, things like short-term rentals have come up. Of course, short-term rentals are not allowed from a norm standpoint, city to city that changes. But another trend what we are seeing is the unmarried professionals category. Jo hota hai na? Let's say somebody who's 25 years and working and not yet married, but working a good job, like somebody who's earning like 10 lakhs ka package, 10 to 15 lakh ka package, right? People again working in the tech sector. For these candidates, the studio-based infrastructure is very poor in our country, right? Some of the co-living companies are trying to solve for this problem, but it's not yet solved at scale, right? It's still in early nascent stages. What I am seeing is these days, people are buying a 3-bedroom apartment and instead of renting it out to a family, might give me 50,000 in rent, I'm renting out each bachelor ke liye, I'm renting out one bedroom, charging 20,000. So 20 into 3, 60,000 I'm getting rather than 50,000. So 20% more rent. This is a trend which is going up a lot in both Hyderabad and Bangalore, which is further increasing your rental yields and taking it up to 4.5%.
Got it.
But however, if you're in your 30s, I wouldn't recommend earning in real estate via the rental model because your money will run at 4.5% is your month-on-month rental yield in certain pockets. And there's an appreciation, वही example से ले लेंगे, so 6.5%, 4.5 plus 6.5 is 11. Why running like your money running at 11% is, I feel, is slower in your 30s. It can run at 18 to 20%. Probably if you're somebody who are closer to 50, right? Then what happens if you take a home loan? You will not get a 20-year home loan. Why? Because you won't be working for 20 years, right? So you're closer to retirement. So you might get a 7-year home loan. So your monthly EMI is going to be very high. In those cases, what I do not recommend the flipping strategy. I recommend the rental wala earning, right? So because after 5 to 7 years, you're going to retire, then you need income replacement tools, right? Passive income.
Correct.
So your retirement life can be easy. In that case, investing in real estate from a rental standpoint makes sense. In that case, don't do residential real estate because at max it can give you 4.5%. Do commercial real estate.
Got it.
Which will give around 6%. REITs are also now giving 6.5%. So they can do that.
Sir, one doubt that I had is, you mentioned about flipping the house, okay? So you invest 15 rupees from your pocket, 85 rupees comes from the bank, After 4 years, this property appreciates from 100 to 130 rupees.
Mhm.
You subtract 85 from there, 45 rupees is left. Interest, you take out 15 rupees,
Correct.
30 rupees is left.
Correct.
But after 4 years, if I pay back the entire loan to the bank, I heard that the banks also charge you additional interest or additional money.
Pre-closure
if you-
charges, what it's called.
Yeah, even if you pay back the loan early.
Pre-closure
So
charges.
is this also considered in your...
No, I have not considered in this because for most of the large developers, the way they can structure their home loan bankers card deal is zero pre-closure. Like we do zero pre-closure charges.
Oh, okay. So zero pre-closure charges are also things that you need to take into consideration. Okay.
Some cases, developers even offer some interest holiday and things like that. In that case, your return goes up much higher.
Yeah, one fine day I just told my mother, why don't we just pay back all the loan? They said that the bank will charge you. I said, why? Even if you pay back the home loan early, are they going to charge you?
They will.
And that was like a revelation for me that the bank charges
because the
you.
bank has lost its potential earning on you, right? So they do charge. But yeah, the way we can structure, like at least most of the developers, not just us, the big developers, we get to structure in such a way that the pre-closure charges are zero.
Sir, so if I were to summarize the learnings from this entire conversation, this segment of the conversation, we spoke about residential real estate investment. Okay, and here you mentioned the basic parameters to be the GDP growth of the city. If this is in the range of 10 to 15%, which means it's healthy to
10 to
invest.
12 is super good.
Then we spoke about agglomeration. In Hyderabad, there's an agglomeration of industries like IT and pharma. In Pune, it is IT services. In Bangalore, it's IT and startups. Then we spoke about schools. If you want to invest in premium localities, you have to look for the concentration of IB schools.
Yes.
As you go farther away from that particular hotspot, in Hyderabad, it is high-tech city and financial district.
Which are the number one location.
Yeah. As you keep going farther away from it, you have to look for the concentration of CBSE and ICSE schools. That is where the next tier of people will stay. Then you also mentioned another marker, which is F&B. If the meal for two is about 3,000 rupees, which means it's a very premium locality, 2,000 rupees, it's a
Upper
middle class locality, and 1,000 to 1,200 is middle class. Now, if you want to invest in a premium locality, if you want to invest in a premium property, you should invest in a place which has multiple outlets of F&B with an average order value of about 3,000 rupees for a meal of two.
Correct.
There you shouldn't invest in affordable homes.
Yes.
Because it is better
The
to
cost
invest.
of living will be so high that such a consumer will not be able to buy and stay there.
Then you mentioned that you could fetch a lot of this information about supply from the RERA website. Here you mentioned you can look for the concentration of 2.5 to 3 BHK, 3 to 3.5 BHK, and you can also look for car showrooms, which is a good indicator of the premiumness of a particular locality. So if you've got showrooms like Audi, BMW and Mercedes, it's extra premium.
Correct.
Then if you've got Hyundai, Suzuki and all these, it is upper mid or mid. And if you don't have any showrooms, it means it falls in the economical category.
Correct.
Then we spoke about Bangalore versus Hyderabad, which was very, very interesting, where you said that the attributes that make Hyderabad a great city to invest and live are, number one, water availability. Bangalore has a population of about 13 million, so does Hyderabad. But if you look at the water supply, in Bangalore, it is about 1460 million liters per day, whereas in Hyderabad, it is on the upwards of 2,100 million liters,
2,600.
2,600 million liters per day. And then you spoke about security, and we looked at the stat and we understood that Delhi has the highest crime rate, and Hyderabad, amongst Delhi, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Hyderabad, has the lowest
crime rate, yes.
And you also mentioned an important indicator, which is 64% of India's CCTV cameras are just concentrated in Hyderabad. And then we spoke about cost of living, where in Mumbai, it would cost you 2,000 rupees for a meal of two in a
neighborhood, let's assume.
I would say, premium neighborhood. In Hyderabad, the same thing would cost upper premium. In Hyderabad, it would cost you 1,200, whereas in Bangalore, it would cost you 1,700. Then we spoke about...
Sorry, Bangalore, it costs 2,000. Mumbai, it's 1,700.
Okay, sorry.
Mumbai is relatively cheaper when it comes to F&B infrastructure.
Okay, Bangalore, it's 2,000.
Mumbai, it's 1,700. Gurgaon is again 2,000.
Then we spoke about the per capita income of the city. When it comes to Bangalore, it is about 1 lakh rupees per year. In Mumbai, it is about 75,000 rupees per year. In Bangalore, again, it's 1 lakh rupees per year. In Hyderabad, it is 1 lakh rupees per year. And in Gurgaon, you mentioned?
1,10,000.
1,10,000. Got it. So, if you look at this calculation, what it says is that a person living in Mumbai is earning less, but is paying more in rent, but is paying more for food, and is also paying more for school fees. Whereas in Hyderabad, it is relatively lower. In fact, it is
Least
the lowest
compared to all these cities.
if you compare Bangalore, Mumbai, and Gurgaon. Okay. Then we spoke about the best cities to invest. You mentioned Bangalore, with locations being Sarjapur, Whitefield, and one more locality
the
which
North
you
Bangalore,
mentioned,
that Yashwantpura and
Yashwantpura, which is close to airport.
Yes.
Then you mentioned that Gurgaon and Thane in Mumbai is also a great locality to invest. Pune, if you have a ticket size between 1 to 2 crores, it's best to invest.
1 to 1.5 crore.
1 to 1.5 crores. Hyderabad, if you have a ticket size anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5 crores, Hyderabad is the best to invest. And Thane, it is about 2 to 3 crores.
A little small correction, Ganesh. It's 3 to 5 crores wala range.
Okay, 3 to 5 crores. And Mumbai in general, it is between 4 to 5 crores.
Yes.
Then we spoke about the most important things a person is supposed to take into consideration before they buy a house. Number 1 is the RERA number, which will keep the builder accountable. Number 2 is the product market fit. Here you need to understand that you should look for the carpet area and you should not pay in cash. Because if you pay in cash, the likelihood of the builder not completing the project on time increases by a large extent because it comes with a lot of complication.
Correct.
Then you also mentioned that if there is a builder who has only been building 3-story buildings and suddenly he is building a 40-story building, that is a potential red flag because they may not have the technical know-how on how to build a 40-story building. And you also mentioned about
Pre-closure charges.
zero pre-closure charges, which is if you want to flip a house, you buy the house in year 1 and you try to sell it in year 4 and you want to return the bank's money, then the banks may charge you additional money. Then the bank may charge you an additional amount just because you're returning the money early because it then costs them in terms of their profits. So you also, if you are flipping the house, you should take into consideration the zero pre-closure charges.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to bargain with a builder, you should look for the inventory clearance type, which is usually during possession. And as the possession date nears, if they have inventory which is left, you can go and buy them. And here you can expect a discount anywhere between 10 to 20%.
10 to 20%. Yes.
But in general, you also said that 10 to 15% is a good margin to negotiate.
5 to 10%.
5 to 10%.
If it's not in a clearance inventory, then 5 to 10%.
Got it. And then we spoke about house flipping. You said that if somebody buys a property at 100 rupees in year 1, and by year 4, if the property appreciates at 6.7%, which is inflation, then the property would appreciate to 130 rupees. But while this person takes out a loan, they take out a loan for 85 rupees, but pay only 15 rupees as down payment. So they're not paying 85 rupees, and even that amount gets disbursed
Over a period of 4 years.
over a period of 4 years. Now, while it is getting disbursed over a period of 4 years, the interest charges will not be exorbitant because the entire sum
upfront.
of the money is not being disbursed. Because of which, even if you take interest into consideration, from 130 rupees, if you take out 85 rupees, 45 rupees is left. From 45 rupees, if you take out 15 rupees, 30 rupees is left, which is your profit. So essentially, your input is 15 rupees, your output is 30 rupees in about 4 years. This is assuming that you have zero pre-closure charges as well as the builder completing the project within 4 years.
Correct.
If this goes above 4 years, from 5 to 6 to 7 years, then this may not be very profitable.
Yes. Then your return comes down.
And you also mentioned certain subscriptions like prop equity, where you can find all the details about GDP growth of the city. And you mentioned some thumb rules.
Prop equity mein you'll find all the inventory analysis, which is good for a developer because it costs like couple of lakhs membership. For a for a single investor, I wouldn't recommend why spend 2 lakhs. You can simply go to the RERA website and download the data of all the projects, put it in ChatGPT, ask it to summarize. It will do the same thing for free.
Got it. So you can go to prop equity, look for all the data on the inventory, or you can just go to the RERA website, take out all the data,
Put in ChatGPT.
put it in ChatGPT and ask it for a layman analysis. Also, you mentioned one of the best ways to spot a future hotspot is to look at the commercial properties which are coming up over there. And for every 100 square feet, this is a rounded off figure, for every 100 square feet, there'll be one employee in that commercial property. So if there is 1 million square feet worth of commercial property coming over there, it will attract 10,000 people because it will create 10,000 jobs.
Correct.
Now that is a hotspot.
Mhm.
Now, if this property attracts high income earners like high tech city, then premium properties in that particular hotspot will sell insanely well. So if there is an upcoming property in a place which has an upcoming commercial property which is as large as 20,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet, then it is bound to attract a lot of people. Those people will be high income earners. As a result, you can either sell your property to those high income earners or you can rent your property out to those high income earners, eventually giving you healthy rental yield as well as healthy demand. So now let's talk about land. Now I have heard again for the longest time that land is the best asset to invest in.
Mhm.
Again, because I've heard stories from a few friends of mine who invested 3-4 lakh rupees 30 years ago, and now that property is worth 3 crore rupees.
Mhm.
So great story. Every time we hear these stories like a stock gave out a 10,000% return, it just drives us crazy, right?
Mhm.
So it drove me crazy. So I wanted to understand what exactly is the best strategy to invest in land. And I'll tell you why I haven't invested in land already. That is because for the longest time, I've also heard stories that people will come and encroach your land. There will be illegal activities over there because of which your own land, after you've paid, after you've put in your life savings, you won't be able to build anything over there. You won't be able to sell it out simply because somebody encroached your land. So if you have a piece of land, you will have to consistently guard it, which will take out so much bandwidth that it is just better to invest in a residential property or a commercial property.
Correct.
So two questions. A, is land really a gold mine? B, if yes, how do we prevent this encroachment from happening?
So two things, Ganesh. First and foremost, when it comes to land, right, one needs to have a fairly long-term perspective. By long-term, I would say some around 7 years wala perspective. It's better if it's a decadal perspective. Like treat land like a SIP wala investment. In SIP you invest monthly X amount. In land, you have to invest a big lump sum amount upfront, and for next 7 years don't do anything, and then you're going to get a decent return. By decent return, in most of the, I would say, the southern states and the western states of the country, I think you can get around 15 to 18% return in land also on
Yearly.
a 7-year scale. Compounded annually, yes, on a compounded annual basis. मतलब 7 years में roughly आपका पैसा बन जाएगा 4x, right? That's 7 to 8 years में in land. Now there are the risks in this model is from a land protection perspective. Let's say you bought a small piece of land and then that's somewhere outskirts of the city, because in the city land will be way too expensive that maybe one has to shell down a minimum of 10 to 20 crores to buy half an acre or something in the prime urban areas where security to the land is better, but the entry barrier is also high, right? So let's say somebody has a 1-2 crore investment, then they should buy somewhere suburbs or slightly away from the suburbs. In those areas, some of the risks are protection. Somebody can come and encroach your land. That is one thing. And sometimes government ka plans change and zone change also might happen. Let's say zone change, let's say the day you bought the land, it was in the probably multi-purpose zone or a housing zone where you can build a house there or something. And then some regulation change came and it came under no construction zone, like a green zone, right? Because maybe NGT believes there should be more trees or something. And then you can't build anything there. Then the land value essentially becomes nothing. So these are the two risks. Encroachment and zone change are two risks when it comes to investing in land directly. Now there are new ways where developers themselves are doing plotted layouts.
Correct. Like Godrej, right?
Like Godrej has done, Lodha also has done near Ayodhya. They've laid out a big ad that time, right? This is a much safer way because that's a compounded property and these people provide a certain level of security there. Encroachment problem can be totally evaded. Even zone change also can be totally evaded because when they are doing the development, they are going for approval, they will check all of this. So in this way, you can safeguard yourself. But the one disadvantage in this is because it's small piece of land, right? Maybe let's say maybe 1/10 an acre or 400 or 500 yards. So it has a certain level of appreciation. Let's say you bought, like, the really crazy stories are, let's say somebody bought 10 acres of land and then the highway came beside it, and after 10 years, like, somebody could build a big project. Then you get hundreds of crores. That sort of story will not happen here because large project cannot come in like 400 yards, right? At max, you can build a house there. So that will have certain cap to its appreciation, but it provides the safety. So these are the two ways in which one can appreciate land. However, I do feel in northern India, there are certain pockets because the economy, see, southern Indian economy, southern and western economy is more industrialized, right? We are more middle income nation wala GDP per capita hai. North may still it's developing economy. So there are certain pockets which will give you 100x in probably 10 to 15 year periods.
100x.
Yes, 100x in 10 to 15. There
Which
are
are these pockets, sir?
maybe directly I can't, like, it will become speculative. I can't say direct these things, but yeah, look at areas where a lot of road building is happening.
Okay.
Right, so that's large highways. So these are some things, and proximity to any industrial corridors, right? Some manufacturing plant is being set up. So closer to that, these sort of things, and your entry price has to be low. Like, matlab, see, if it's doing 100x, then you have to enter somewhere around that 1 to 2 or 3 lakhs per acre ka range, not more than that. If you're entering on tops 5 lakhs, if you're entering more than 5 lakhs ka range, then you won't get the 100.
Which means it has already appreciated?
It has already reached a certain standard of appreciation. So, like, at least in Telangana, if you look, anywhere you travel in the state, you will not get any land, decent one, which is clear in title and all of that, less than 25 lakhs. Matlab, the 100x wala story is over. You only have the 10x wala story.
Got it.
So, to have a 100x...
Which is okay, sir. 10x is okay.
So, the 100x wala, for a 100x wala story, you need to have your buy-in price at nothing more than 5 lakhs.
Okay. 5 lakhs per acre.
Per acre, yeah.
Okay. But sir, you mentioned something about titling. I've heard that titling is also a very big issue, which then results into court cases which go on for decades.
Yeah.
Can you please explain how can a person
Mm-hmm.
verify all the titles? First of all, explain to me what is the title, and then tell me how can this person verify the titles to an extent where he will then further face no issues.
Okay. First thing is, what is a title is essentially a document which talks about the ownership of the land, right, at that point of time. And previously, who was the owner, like that, it talks about the past owners of the land. For any good title search, it's good to do 50 years. Let's say you're buying a land today, now we are 2025. It's better to do the title search from 1975. From 1975, who was the owner? When did that previous owner transfer the property to the new owner? At which date? And what extent? And then again, when the subsequent land transaction happened, that is what essentially is title. It's good always to do a 50-year ka search.
Okay. How do you do this search, sir?
Now, best way is you go get a lawyer, a civil lawyer, and they will do this for you. Online, some of the documents are available. However, if it's a larger land parcel, you have to do offline investigation as well. So there is no standardized, well-established practice when it comes to title search. That's the unfortunate thing.
What?
Yeah, there is none. So you as an individual, depending on, let's say you're buying in a plotted layout, then you don't need to worry about this.
But sir, in plotted layouts, we won't get that multiples, right?
That you won't get. If you really want the multiple, then you have to employ, top class advocates, lawyers, like they will be doing this investigation. Some of this, good amount of this data is available online, but there's a lot of third party claims on the land. Let's say the neighbor has put a claim on this land. Oh, mera ek, out of 1 acre, some 200 yards is there inside his property. So hence, the 200 yards belong to me. Or somebody has suddenly told that, 3 generations back, inka granddad has sold to me. I am the rightful owner. So there are a lot of these claims will be there, which legal lawyer will be better able to do that search. So I would strongly recommend do that. Don't skimp on that. That will lead to a lot of risk. But yeah, there is no good standardized practice there. And I think few startups are trying to do something, but nothing significant has yet come out because it's very complex. However, to resolve this problem, Government of India is they're under the program called Swamitva, right? What they are doing, they also realize this as a very big problem. Using drones, they are doing all land surveys and taking note of who the current owner is and moving all this data online, digital transaction. And they are even planning to use blockchain technology to, whenever property ka transaction happens, to put it on the blockchain so that the data cannot be tampered over a period of time.
Got it. But how do you get the best of both worlds, sir? Because plotted land, it's very small, but then unplotted land is very large, but then comes with a lot of risk. So what is the playbook and how do you navigate through this?
See, that's where I say, Ganesh, I mean, if somebody is, want to invest more in real estate, from a 1 to 2 crore perspective, it's better to stay towards the built spaces. It's more safer, right? And by flipping, you can make your 18-20%. You have to just be careful. I mean, use the thorough data research model, what I was saying. That could be one approach. and then you get it. Unless, see, then the cost of buying land and entering is significantly going up. Unless you, let's say you want to invest 50 crores. Let's say you're pulled in money from 25 of your friends, each putting in probably, let's say 2 crores. Now you have 50 crores. Then it's a good time to enter into land. So higher the capital, it's better, because higher capital even offsets for the transaction cost. You're going to hire a lawyer. You're going to hire a agency to protect your land, like a security or as simple as that. And time and again, you need to make sure there are no third-party claims falling on it. If anything falls, you'll have to settle them. All of that has some transaction cost, which seldom gets spoken. Rather, the success story always gets spoken, like 100x return in 10 years or 15 years.
Correct.
But yeah, there are these litigations which come up. Like in my own personal case, my dad bought a land in 1996 in somewhat rural area at 50,000 an acre. Currently, it's selling at around 5 crore an acre. Right? It's 1000x return in 30 years.
So you are that person who speaks about my dad just made 1000x.
Yeah, I mean, he bought such a, we got lucky, I would say. I mean, but in the process, we did lose 5% of the land because of, third-party litigation and all. So, because it was a larger chunk of land, we were okay. If it's a small piece of land, naturally, it leads to other complications, right? So, we simply let go of that 5% of land. We didn't even fight. Naturally, we made our return. So,
got it. Of course.
Yeah, my dad made that return. I didn't. Probably, I don't think such a margin is left in today's day and age.
Got it. So is this all that you have to say about land, which is if you want to buy a small piece of land, go to a developer, get that plotted piece of land, and that's it. All
Yes.
you can do is build a house. It will appreciate at what? 10-12%?
10-12% के पास appreciate होगा. Correct.
That's it. But if you want to buy a large piece of land, hire lawyers, get the clearance done.
And large capital. So agglomerate, like, consolidate 25 of your friends or something like that. And then make a 50 crore wala capital, and then you buy. Then the various asset usages also. You can even give it to these, logistic parks. If it's close enough to in a right location, you can lease out your land to logistics park and start earning rental yield from early days onwards. So various such uses are there.
I think this is perfect.
Yeah.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks so
This
much,
is
Ganesh.
great.